Get over it.
Hey, Jim Czirr is with us. Jim Czirr is the executive chairman and co-founder of a company called Galectin Therapeutics. Stock symbol GALT. They are publicly traded. Our good friends over at 1-800-PR brought him right to our studios. And I got to tell you, Jim, this is the thing I'm talking as a CEO of a publicly traded company. I'm certainly not talking anything foreign to you because it's all about fear and greed for investors. But unfortunately, Jim serves at the pleasure of the board of directors, who serves at the pleasure of the shareholders. And the shareholders aren't happy.
I'm actually the executive chairman.
Okay, so the executive chairman. So long story short. So if the shareholders aren't happy, nobody's happy.
That's
correct.
That's correct.
Well, yeah, they start just bailing off the ship.
Well, yeah. So part of this, I think one of the most interesting features of being involved in a publicly traded company is that you have to execute your business model, but you're also looking at the stock over your shoulder at the same time. And I've found that there's two types of CEOs in all the time I've been doing this business. Is that you've got the one CEO that'll just look at his stock and the other CEO that'll execute his business model. You got to be able to do both, I think. Talk to us about Galectin Therapeutics a little bit.
Well, Galectin Therapeutics, we're a biotech company focusing on diseases that don't have treatments today that affect a huge number of people.
Oh, great. Did you wash your hands before you came in here?
Matter of fact, I did, Russ.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the first diseases we're focusing on is a silent epidemic right now called fatty liver disease, or NASH, with fibrosis.
Now, isn't that an alcoholic disease?
Everybody thinks it's cirrhosis.
Because I read today on your website, I went and looked it up.
Okay.
Now I know why you're here.
The first thing that comes up is alcoholism.
Alcohol has historically been the number one reason for cirrhosis, but it's been supplanted by hepatitis C, which is now dropping by the wayside, and fatty liver disease is becoming the number one reason.
Fatty liver disease.
Yeah, you get fat in your liver, it causes inflammation. Inflammation triggers the growth of fibrosis, and before you know it, you can have cirrhosis. Now, the interesting thing about this disease is it doesn't have any symptoms.
Oh, great. So maybe I have it.
It doesn't have any symptoms until you get a blood test to let you know your liver enzymes aren't right.
Is this part of a regular blood panel? Like if Johnny Lunchbucket goes, are they testing for this all the time?
If you go for a physical today, there's a 99% chance you're going to get this.
Now, was it like that 20 years ago?
No.
So this is chiefly due to companies like yours that have brought it to the front and forward that they're actually testing for it.
Well,
right?
I think it's because of obesity and the different complications that's caused.
Right.
And
so literally fatty. I mean,
no. Kidding aside, it's fat in the liver.
Right.
Causes cirrhosis over time.
Does one lead to the other? Being overweight cause that, or does that cause maybe being overweight, or do we?
It's really interesting. Some people that don't look heavy develop this disease also.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's a what do you eat? Do you exercise type of situation.
Is this a genetic disorder, or is this something that is a cootie that happens? Is it a lifestyle disorder, like you mentioned, with being overweight, or is it all the above?
Over 45% of the people in the United States have fat in their liver.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not just genetic. It may have a genetic component, but it's been growing and growing. And I've met people who have told me they woke up one morning, felt sick, went to the doctor, found out they needed a liver transplant.
Oh, my goodness.
But that's how quiet the disease was as far as being symptomless.
You don't notice like jaundice or any little signs?
Well, when you get the jaundice, that typically means you've already gone far enough that your fibrotic levels are high enough that you become what's known as a cirrhotic patient.
The name of the website, GalectinTherapeutics.com. I spent a little bit of time on this. Guys, show that for the television audience and for our radio audience. We can see that. One of the things I was doing and looking at you today was realizing there's almost, I think the number is 6,000 or 6,500 liver transplants per year. Is that accurate?
It's about 6,200, 6,500 transplants per year. If you look at the prevalence data, they estimate that there's approximately 2 million people that have cirrhosis and another 4 to 5 million people that have what they call advanced fibrosis, which is, it's, as you can guess, very far along the disease pathway, not quite producing the conditions.
Jim Czirr is the executive chairman and the co-founder of the company, Galectin Therapeutics. What I want to know now, so we've talked about the problem. What's the solution? And you guys have one, don't you?
Well, we have a drug in development that we're very excited about what's happening, to date. We brought along a slide to give you guys an example of what before and after looks like on some of the animal models we've done.
Oh, good. It's one of those.
For those in the listening audience, we are showing a slide of a rat liver that is very cirrhotic, about 27% fibrosis by area, is induced by chemical injections. That happened over 8 weeks.
So you purposely did this?
Purposely did this with rats.
Okay.
And then we went ahead and treated the animals for 4 weeks while we continued to assault their liver with the same chemicals that caused the problem in the first place.
Wow.
And in spite of that, we see a reduction to 9% in just 4 weeks' time.
So okay, this seems like a no-brainer. You found the cure for cancer. or something
Or
very
fibrosis.
close, or something very close to this thing. I mean, I'm using an analogy here. Shouldn't this be fast tracked through the FDA?
Well, we do have a fast track with the FDA.
But I mean fast track, like not
Faster.
Fast. What is fast track? By the way, what is okay? So let's
Bullet train.
Let's stop down this just for a second, just real quick. In 30 seconds or less, how long does it normally take a drug to get through?
Oh my goodness, it can take
Years.
6, 7, 10, 12 years.
What does fast track mean?
Well,
3?
fast track, what it means is that when you call the FDA and you want to have a meeting to discuss your next steps or the data that you just got, it's like going to Disney World or Universal Studios
fast pass
where they have
line?
the fast pass line. And so you'll save weeks and months each time you try to ask for
Sure.
a meeting. And over the course of the whole duration of development, that adds up to a lot of time.
And so you guys are fast track. I'm going to keep you over the break here, Jim. I appreciate what you're talking about because there's a number of things we can still talk about here. Jim Czirr is his name. He's the executive chairman and co-founder of Galectin Therapeutics. You can look at him online, galactintherapeutics.com. By the way, they're publicly traded. Their stock symbol GALT. We'll talk some more with Jim here, and we'll talk about sort of what they're doing, how close they are to clinical trials, and we're going to do a on-air liver test for Rusty Nailz
Oh,
here.
don't skeeve me out.
Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com, 70 million homes strong, 150 radio stations. Follow us on Twitter at Big Biz Radio. See you in a minute.
What's this co-reaction?
Jim Czirr is the executive chairman and co-founder of a company by the name of Galectin Therapeutics. You can go to GalectinTherapeutics.com. They're our guest today on the program. Thanks to our good friends at 1-800-PR. And, of course, they are publicly traded. Their stock symbol is GALT. They have come up with a proprietary drug to fight fatty liver disease, which is also called NASH, if I'm not mistaken. Now, by the way, is it NASH or is it
NASH, and it's an acronym for not alcoholic steatohepatitis.
All right, so you guys basically have the secret sauce here. And for me, it seems like if this is based upon my research today about you, this is a horrible disease, and it is more prevalent than we probably realize. Yes. Shouldn't the FDA be stopping everything they're doing if you guys have the secret sauce to something so horrible?
Well, the FDA has been very cooperative. They've given us a fast track approval.
But I'm talking like by next week, right?
Well,
I don't know if they have to do
based
that.
upon what
anymore.
The FDA still needs to see data. I mean,
okay, let's talk about that data. You went through phase 1 clinical trials.
Yes, we did.
Talk about what happened.
Well, the FDA asked us to not use healthy volunteers like most people do for safety trials. They asked us to use people with advanced fibrosis, which we did.
Okay.
And we have a slide here for those who are on the TV
This better not be gross, or you're off the show. Bud.
No, just a little bar
good.
chart.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting here is that phase 1 trials are not designed to test whether a drug works or not. It's designed to test whether it's safe, and you design larger trials to decide whether it works or not.
Okay.
We only were giving people 4 doses, an amount that we didn't expect to see any effect. But in the largest group of patients, you can see on the right-hand side here of the chart, there's 3 of the patients actually see their amount of liver stiffness, which correlates with fibrosis, drop between 26 and 50%.
So those are the red dots that we're seeing there.
Those are the red dots that you're seeing. And that's done by an ultrasonic measurement called FibroScan. So, that's suggesting we had an effect, a physical effect on liver stiffness. Now, not enough patients to be able to say that it's working. We have to go out and prove that. And that's
But
what we're
it's
doing
not killing
them. It was safe. It didn't kill them.
Right.
And it indicates that there could be an effect. It had an effect on 3 people. So we are now
This is
in the
not
process.
even trying. This is just showing how safe it is.
Well, now we're doing 2 studies, one on advanced fibrosis patients and
Right.
one on cirrhosis patients. In these studies, people will get 9 doses to 26 doses over 16 to 52 weeks. So if there's anybody in the listening audience that has this disease...
Let's get to that for 1 second, though. Let's get to phase 2 in a minute. You had a surprise in phase 1, though. Something else happened.
Yes, we did. We had one patient that was getting one of the middle-sized doses, had very severe psoriasis. And after their 4th dose, the psoriasis disappeared. And that was approximately 17 months ago. They just now are starting to see a little flaky skin. But the real heavy, thick scar or skin.
The heartbreak
lesion.
of psoriasis, Russ.
It is kind
That's
of
what that
gross.
is.
Now, does that person call you every day and go, could you just hook a brother up?
All right, so let's move on to phase 2 now.
My elbows are flaking again, man.
So phase 2 clinical trials, you're seeking participants, correct?
Yeah, we're actively recruiting patients at the moment. And we have sites set up all over the country for the cirrhosis patients.
Okay, very good. So what do you anticipate to happen here in phase 2? By the way, listen, they don't have have a cure for cancer. I was using rhetoric. I'm getting
Okay, you're
email
in
here,
trouble,
but
mister.
no, but they do have a secret sauce here. But my whole point in saying that is why doesn't the FDA get off its collective, you know what,
That'll teach
and
you.
move things like this forward faster? This has been a topic of mine on radio and television for 20 years about how the FDA dragged its feet, and I can't really understand why. I get the safety fine, but you know what? A year's worth of safety tests is enough. I don't need 5 years worth of safety tests. And by the way, I would argue that person with psoriasis would have risked their life to feel the way they're feeling right now.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we hope to find out in phase 2?
Well, obviously, in phase 2, we hope to see a reversion of cirrhosis in a statistically relevant number of people so that we can say that it's worked in that patient population and hopefully attract a drug company partner.
What happens just in the course of a life of a biotech company? Has the model changed a little bit from where before you develop this drug all the way to the end and you try to sell it? Now, what you just said there was very interesting. Now you try to get to your path of liquidity, you get a partner who's taken this thing to a go-to-market strategy. Is that right?
Well, there's really no given single way it's done. I mean, it depends so much on the variables. One of the things that's unique about this market is it's so large. And if you look at the competition, you're talking $500,000 for a liver transplant if you can get one.
Sure.
Okay, and you're talking about $50,000 a year roughly for anti-rejection meds once you have a transplant.
Sure.
You could spend a few $1,000s to $300,000 trying to stay alive, waiting for a transplant and die.
Yeah.
So, we read a lot of reports, and if you look at Deutsche Bank's report on the industry, they're suggesting $50,000 plus or minus would be a fair price to charge someone to be able to reverse fibrosis in their liver and buy them more time. Whether you cleared it up completely,
This is just buying them more time. This is kicking the can down the road.
Put another 100,000 miles on the odometer.
Yeah,
that
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a treatment that puts the disease away for good, but we don't know that.
Sure.
But they're saying 50,000 is a number that they use as possible. Well, if you have 2 million people with the disease and 6 million in total that are getting close, a couple 100,000 people a year, and you got 10 billion in sales.
Sure.
That's different than the average drug, which is 300 million, 350 million.
Absolutely.
So if Big Pharma might, want to look at that a little bit differently than they would the average drug.
Speaking of Big Pharma, did I read somewhere that Bristol Myers was helping you test this out? Did I read that somewhere online?
No, Bristol Myers has got a drug called Yervoy that we're doing some studies with using our compound in combination with.
So there is a relationship there at some point.
But that's for the cancer franchise, which we haven't talked about yet.
Talk about it real quickly. We only got about a minute and a half here
Okay.
because this seems like a big. You do have a cancer side of things, don't you?
Yes, we do. And it turns out from other people's research, it appears as though cancer uses this inflammatory protein called Galectin-3 to interfere with the patient's immune system's ability to clone new T cells. It also will bind to existing T cells and turn them off, makes them anergic in technical terms.
Okay.
What that means, bottom line, is they stop making poisons and they stop killing cancer cells.
Okay.
So our protein, our molecule is a carbohydrate made out of an apple peel, and it binds to these proteins and prohibits them from being able to turn off T cells. If they've already been turned off, it can, in some cases, turn them back on.
Yeah.
And it also can improve the number of new T cells that are cloned, all of which could help a cancer patient. Now, we're doing some testing right now at the Portland Providence Medical Center. We have studies going on that are using the drug Yervoy, which is a cancer immunotherapeutic that creates more T cells, and they're using our drug in combination. Now, in animal studies, we saw a very significant improvement in how long animals lived and how many T cells they created. So we're looking forward to the data in humans. If it works in humans, it appears that virtually every solid tumor uses this protein as a defense against the immune system. So this could be something that could be an enabling technology for many other types of cancer.
And you get it from an apple. Apple peel.
Comes out of an apple peel.
and you get it
How
from
about
Apple.
that?
His name is Jim Czirr. He's the executive chairman and co-founder of Galectin Therapeutics. By the way, stock symbol GALT, trading on the NASDAQ. And, of course, you can go find out more information by going to galactintherapeutics.com.
Capital
And then,
day.
of course, they'll be on our website. We'll tweet them out to our 20,000 folks as well. Will you come back on the air with us? I want to hear. I think we should talk about the cancer thing next time in detail as well.
I'd love to.
I appreciate you coming on, Jim.
And
Thank you.
psoriasis.
GalectinTherapeutics.com. More information. You can also check out our website. I'll have a big link to there. And Zack Attack will tweet it out to our followers and get that out there for you. It is the Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com is our website. We're going to talk about cybersecurity when we come back from the break. Stand by.
Oh, wow. Wait a second.